Feeder wires and bus wires are very important on your DCC system, and I showed you on this piece of rail about 7 months ago how to install your feeder wires on your rail, and I'm going to show you a few more different ways of doing it in this video right here, so keep watching. I'm Tom Kovichak, and this is Tom's Trains and Things. This channel was created to help other modelers who are in need of guidance in pursuing their dream of building a model railroad. And in that model railroad, if you're using DCC, you're going to want to know how to solder your feeder wires on your track. And I'm going to show you a couple of more ways of doing it. I showed you about 7 months ago how to do it on this exact board right here. And I drilled some holes in it and showed you how to solder on both sides, and I gave you some tips on there. Now, since then, I have gotten a new soldering station, and I'm going to show you some things on that, on how to solder. It's no different, but it's a new toy that I have that I'm going to play around with. But anyway, we're going to do some extra wires on here. I have about 3 holes drilled already, so let's get to that in a few minutes. But in the meantime, if you would like to see more videos like this, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And while you're at it, ding that bell, and that'll notify you whenever I have a new video coming out. So let's get started with this right now. Most of you are familiar with this type of soldering iron right here. Now this one right here is a 33 watt. It has a replaceable tip on it, and it also has a replaceable heating element on it. Now not all soldering irons are the same, and not all of them have the replaceable heating element on it, and unfortunately there are some really inexpensive ones where you can't even change the tip on it. But that's beside the point. What we're going to talk about on here is there are specific reasons for different types of tips on here, and the reason why you would want to change them is if these ever get wore out, or if you have a different application, like if you have a wide area that you want to heat up, or you want to heat up something on a circuit board. Now if you wanted to heat up something on a circuit board, this one right here would not be a good one because it is too wide. Here are a few more that I have. Here is a 40 watt with a replaceable tip, and here is a 20 watt, and here is the 33 watt. Now I use each one of these for a different purpose, and even with the 20 watt soldering iron I was able to get additional tips for it, so you could use it in multiple applications. So no matter what size your soldering iron is, you could use it for many different things. You just have to practice and know how to use what tip on what application. Now, since I did the video last time on the feeder wires, I have gotten a new soldering station. Now, this is a digitally controlled temperature. You could preset 3 different temperatures on this soldering station. It has replaceable heating elements on it, and it also has replaceable cartridge on it, heating cartridge. There's a circuit board on there because there's a sensor on it that keeps the tip a constant temperature. Now that's one of the advantages of a digital temperature controlled soldering station. I'm going to show you how to do the feeder wires with this one here, and I'm going to do one with a little bit wider one, and then I'm going to show you a pinpoint one. I have green wire solid and black wire stranded. They're both 22 gauge wire. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to desolder the wires that I already have on there. I'm just going to hit this. I'm going to pull on this wire right here, and just put a little bit of heat on this. And pull the red wire through, and I'll pull the black wire through. Now, what we're going to do first is we're going to tin this wire. At least the stranded wire, because the solid wire we don't need to tin. And we're using the medium size flat, and do this right on the cutting pad. That way I won't get a reflection on the one item. Okay, here we go. Now we're ready. Okay, we got that one there. There's the other black one. I'll dip it in the flux, in the paste flux. My soldering iron. Now, I cut these a little bit long so I could trim it down once I have them tinned. Okay. I'm not going to play with that right now. I'm going to use this one right here. And what I'm going to do is take the needle nose. I'm going to bend this. At a 90 degree. You can see how much I have left over right there. I'm going to cut a little bit off of that. I'm going to take my rat tail file right where I want to solder and clean that up a little bit. Okay, then I'm going to take a little bit of alcohol, and I'm going to dip this in a little bit of alcohol, and then just dip that on there, and that'll clean it off a little bit, and it'll actually get some of the shavings that I had on there. Now, since this is already tinned, and I'm going to take some of this liquid flux and spread it right there. Now we'll put our wire in there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a picture of it. Alright, and I'm going to get a good one right here. Okay, and what I'll do is I'll put a little bit of solder on the tip here. And just hold that in place. I'll put this iron right there. I'm going to squeeze down on it a little bit because it's up a little high. And what I'll do is I'll take another picture of it. And take one like this. Alright. That is on there good and tight. And we'll turn this up this way and you can see it. Now with that one, what I'm going to do, I'm going to let the soldering iron cool down a little bit. And I'll change the tip on it. and I'll do the next one. And while we're waiting for that to cool down, we'll hit the one with the foul. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to change it to the little bit larger tip on here. And this is just a little bit bigger than the one that I have. And this is just a little bit warm. Okay, so now I have the larger tip on here. Is we're going to take this next one and do the same thing. We're going to bend it, and then we're going to cut a little bit off of it. And as you can see, there's just a little bit on there. I don't know if you can see it like that. I'll move this out of the way here. Okay. So we'll put this one here. Now this is going on with the bigger, heavier soldering tip. I'll push that down in there. Make that turn the right way. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to flatten that on the back so it holds it in place. Take a picture of that. And get it right here. Alright. That piece of solder is getting a little bit short, so I'll come over here and just set this right on top. And what I might want to do is just add a little bit more solder to it. There we go. And see, with the bigger tip, it didn't take as long to heat it up. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut the temperature off here. And the next one we're going to do is with the smallest one, this tip right here. And so we're going to let it cool down for a while. Now when you see these pictures, I haven't done any cleaning of the area. Okay. I'll take some of the alcohol and clean it out. Now what I did different on this one here is I have the green wire, which is the flat wire, and I put the pointed tip on there. And the other thing that I did was I flattened out the solid wire. And in this one I did on the inside, I think. Yes, I did. I'm going to show you how to do it on the inside. And we're also going to do it with the fine pointed one, our area. I got to take a look at this with this. Okay, now let me prepare the area with flux. Now, same thing, 650 degrees, but we have a smaller tip on it, and we're using the solid wire this time. So we just put a little bit of solder on there. Come over here. All right. I'm going to have to turn this around. We're all set right there. And one thing I said that I was going to do was also show you how to put it on the bottom of a rail joiner. So let me get my file here, and we'll just prepare the rail joiner. We'll do this one right here, and we'll just clean this up a little bit with the file. A little bit of ballast in there. Move that one out of the way. And what we'll do is we'll set this up right here. This is the one that was on the rail before. And what I'll just do is I'll redo this. I'll tin it. Cut that off. Strip it down and tin it. Stick that in there. And I'll get one of these other ones right here. I'll get this one right here. Get my solder out. This is hard to pick up with no fingernails. All right. Now what we'll do is take a little bit of liquid flux and put it on the bottom of the rail joiner, and we'll be all set. What we'll do, we'll turn this 90 degrees like that, and see how big that is up against there. That's not too bad. So what I'm going to do on this one here is I'm going to put a little bit of solder on the rail joiner to begin with. Okay, you can see that little dab of solder on there. So all we have to do is, I'll try to do this so you can see it. Get that on there. Hold it in place. And you see when I did that, I barely had to touch it to get the solder, the melt on there. And we got a good solder joint on there. And you can see it's not fouling anything up on the top, but it still looks good right there. And let me get a picture of that also, so we can show you a close-up of that. And there we go. You could do this on Easy Track also. As you can see, we got good results from 3 different tips, different sizes and different shapes. And you could do the same thing. You just have to practice to see which tip does the best for you in the particular application. You could do that with a regular soldering iron. You don't need a digitally controlled soldering station to do that. It could be done on this. It's just going to be a little bit harder to do. You could change the tip on here and have the same results as the more expensive soldering station. I would like to thank all of you who have contributed to this channel through Super Chat, PayPal, and Patreon. I'll have a list of all the Patreons up here who have contributed. I thank you very much. That has helped me very much in producing better videos to teach you the skills for model railroading, and I really appreciate the support. And I would like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, and we'll see you this way. Ooh.